take out your 6-2, please.
Alright, Elena, stop picking.
Yeah, can you please put all my stuff back?
Yeah, I was part of like party or
Yeah.
boyfriend. That's what it should say.
First date was out. One.
That's like word.
My parents' first date was Taco Bell. So we better love Taco Bell.
The council would decide on that.
That's
No.
That's
It's sad. This truck won't fit around the like drive-through. On Taco Bell because it's on concrete.
So, yeah, like Thursday we did the left hand and the right hand methods for rectangles. Any questions on those that I can go through, clear up, clarify? Or do a little bit too. Any questions? Okay. So today we're going to do midpoint and trapezoid. And if you're someone that like gets ahead on the notes, we're not going to do 6-3. Did you already do the 6-3 notes?
He made me do 6
Worst
too.
experience of my life yesterday.
You made me.
Well, maybe you should.
I didn't make you do it.
You texted me, you were like, yeah.
Score 1 for procrastination, I guess.
Yes.
Alright.
Well, that's actually
Why you said it was rough?
Yeah.
It was confusing. It's like never on the internet test, so there's
No.
That's
good notes. Okay.
That's so annoying.
So let me review. I'm just gonna sketch on here. We're gonna go from 2 to 6. I'm just sketching to review. So let's say we're going from 2 to 6, and our rectangles are gonna be 2 units wide. If I were doing the left-hand sum for this sub-interval, I'd go to the left-hand endpoint, and that's my height of the rectangle. And for the next one, I go to the left-hand, and that's the height of the rectangle. So the left would underestimate there. And why is it underestimating? Because what's the function doing? Decrease. Increasing. Yeah. A right hand, the same interval, would be, I go to the right hand of that subinterval and pretend that's the height the whole time. On the right hand side, pretend up there. And that's the height the whole time. And that's an overestimate. And then today we're doing midpoints and trapezoids. So midpoint would be the same region. I'm going from 2 to 6 with 2 subintervals. I would go from 2 to 4, and instead of going to the left-hand side for the height, or the right-hand side for the height, I go to the middle. So the middle of 2 and 4 is 3. So you'd plug in 3 and pretend that's the height the entire time. So you get some overestimate and then some under. This one's not a bad estimate. So between 4 and 6, I would plug in 5. Get f of 5 and then use that for the height the entire time. So that's midpoint, just so you can see what it looks like. And then trap is short for trapezoid. You're literally making a trapezoid. So if I have going between 2 and 6. So for 2 and 4, I'd go to the left-hand side and I'd go to the right-hand side. And you're not really gonna draw a line between them. It just ends up being like the average of those two. Trapezoid rule, go to the left and the right and draw a line between, and it makes like a trapezoid shape. That's why it's called the trapezoid rule. When is is that an overestimate or underestimate? That's over. Why? Because the function's concave up. Good. If they were concave down and you do a trap rule, you'd be going underneath. So let's do a couple of them. Give me an equation with this guy. 4x minus 1. Okay, so for midpoint, so for this one I'm going from 2 to 8, use 3 subintervals. So I'm looking here to here. So my distance is 6. 8 minus 2 is 6. I'm dividing it up into 3 subintervals. So 6 divided by 3. So every subinterval is going to be 2 units long. So I'm just doing base times height, plus base times height, plus base times height. So I'm adding up the area of 3 rectangles. So if I look at this first rectangle, the base of that's going to be 2, right? And the height will be f of 3. Because the midpoint of that interval is 3, so I plug that in, find out what f of 3 is, and then that becomes the height of that rectangle. That make sense? And I just keep going, so between 4 and 6, my base, then I'm adding up the different rectangles. My base of my next rectangle between 4 and 6 is 2, and I use the midpoint of 4 and 6 to get the height. So that would look something like that. This is the dashed line, maybe. I don't know. And then what would I have next? We'll go here. 2 times f of 7, because you're taking the midpoint of that. So you go there and your rectangle will look like this. And then how do you find f of 3, f of 5, f of 7? You plug into that, right? Good? Okay. Is that okay for midpoint? I mean for that one? Questions there? Alright, for trap, so if I go to the one on the right, I'm still going between 2 and 8. I still have 3 subintervals, so my distance is 8 minus 2. Divide that among 3 subintervals. So each rectangle is 2 units. And what you got, this one's a little more annoying. You can actually do this 2 ways. Trap is the LRAM and the RRAM averaged together. So if you've done left and right already, there's no reason to do trap. You can just take your 2 numbers and average. Like if you did left RAM and it was 10, RRAM was 12, trap's 11. You don't have to do any numbers. But if you just are asked for trap by itself, it's probably faster to use the trap method than to find like the left and the right both. Kind of doing the same thing. So the base is going to be 2. This rectangle. The height is going to be the left-hand endpoint plus the right-hand endpoint divided by 2. This is the average of these 2 heights. Because if I take the average of those 2 heights, that's like right in here. And that rectangle I just drew has the same area as that trapezoid that I drew. Getting to it a different way. So the trap, you're taking the left-hand endpoint and the right-hand endpoint and averaging them together for the height. Multiply that by the base, and then do it for every rectangle you have. So my next one, the base would be 2. And I would multiply by the average of what? For the height. F of 4 and f of 6. So you want the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So the left-hand side's f of 4, the right-hand side's f of 6. Get the average of those. And then that's the height that we'll use first. So that would be something like that. Notice that one, is that concave up or concave down? It's concave down, and we are underestimating, right? You can see how the trapezoid goes like a little bit below the curvy part. And then this would be 2 times, I'm kind of, and then I would multiply by f of 6 plus f of 8 divided by 2. So these are a little more annoying because you got a bunch of stuff to plug in. They don't make you do it a ton. And sometimes when they do it, you'll have the left and the right already. If you have the left and the right already, just average them together. Don't do all this. You'll get the same thing, but you're just wasting time. Questions on either of those 2? use table. Okay. So we got a table here. We are in gallons per minute. I am asked to find gallons. So how do I go from gallons per minute to gallons? That's like up a level, so you can integrate. We don't know how to integrate yet, but integration is area, and we're going to use rectangles to estimate the area underneath that table. So we did left and right last time. So if I do midpoint, midpoint with two sub-intervals. So I'm going from 12 to 0, and I want two sub-intervals. So each sub-interval is going to be 6 units wide. So my first sub-interval is going to be from 0 to 6. The second sub-interval will be from 6 to 12. I couldn't do 4 sub-intervals. Because if you said like 0 to 3, what do you get when you plug in 1.5? Is that the midpoint? I don't know. I don't have that info. So they can't ask you more specific than what they show you. So it's just two rectangles. What's the base of this first rectangle? 6, because that's just like from 6 to 0. And then the height is based on the midpoint. So this would be like times f of 3, which is 13. Because I'm not looking at either endpoint, I'm going to the middle and then reading that value. Midpoint. Looking at the one. Is that right? And for my next one, my base is still 6. I'm going to multiply by f of 9, because 9 is right in the middle of 6 and 12. So f of 9 is 23. Again, because I'm not looking at left or right endpoint, but the middle. And then you can figure out, I don't know what that is. 6 times 36, 260. Thanks. Questions on what I'm doing to set it up? Nobody's saying anything, so I don't know if this is like easy, hard, fine, mid. Like midpoint. It's mid. So there it is. Are we okay? Okay. And then for trap, so it's a little tougher. So I'm going to write it up here, just so I have room for it. So 4 subintervals. So I'm going to go, there's my first rectangle, second, third, fourth. So the base of, and do you already have the right and the left? We did those last time, right?
Yeah.
So if you average those together, that's your trap. Like you can just do that if you have left and right. But if you don't, you gotta know how to do it. So my first rectangle, the base is 3. And then I find the average of the two endpoints. So it would be f of 0 plus f of 3 divided by 2. That's my first rectangle. So you can see traps a little more annoying. Plus, then my next base is 3, so I'm on my second one now. This is this guy. Let's do this one. And I would do f of 3 plus f of 6 divided by 2. Does that make sense where I'm getting those from? Literally nobody's nodding their head yes, no, anything. Okay, thank you. I don't care if it's no, I just want to know something. And then my next one, instead of 3 and 6 here, what would be there? The next one?
6 and 9.
6 and 9. And the last one, it would be 9 and 12. Questions on that? I believe at this point you can do the entire deal. Yeah. So I think at this point you should be able to. You've been instructed on how to do the entire worksheet. You've been introduced to it. So try it. Like you should be working on all of 6.2 at this point. If you did the left to right last time. You got left to do it. All right. You have time to work on 6-2 again. We're skipping 6-3. It would take us like 2 or 3 days to thoroughly cover it. And I've seen it on like what AP does out of every 10. It's just not. It's not worth the juice isn't worth the squeeze, I would say. So, going into work, and we're doing 6-4.